All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a little Black exclusive full moon sit. Shout out to you see some other a B or a Joe Brown. My family's here today, which is very cute. Um, and welcome to everybody else, all my friends, first time or returning. Wherever you have come across me, I welcome you into just an hour of really tapping into whatever you need. So I'll present some options. You can follow along. Everything is opt in, opt out. So if you need to take a break, leave, come back. I hope you feel like you can really do what's right for you today, or at least aspire to. Investigate, get curious about what you might need. This is a monthly sit I do every full moon. We were going to have a hybrid one today, but then a snowstorm hit Chicago, so just virtual, which is always our mode. So honestly, still lovely. And I really wanted to, it's Black History Month, so I wanted to make like a dedicated Black sit. I do that anyways most months, but this one I wanted to be special for our full moon. And I really wanted to explore just the ideas real simply of like rest and being in the storm. That was the song that I chose. I always intro with a song or two, and that song was on my mind. Just thinking of like the depth of winter. If you're up in the Midwest slash North where I am, the next 2 weeks are only getting colder, like going sub-zero, snowstorms. We're really still in the thick of this season here. And it feels like we're in kind of the winter of the world often as well. We're in the thick of a lot of starkness and decay and unraveling and grief and death. And it can be hard to hold all that, especially if we are not like making time for acknowledging or holding space for like what is being born out of the things that are dying. What is being renewed? What are the dreams we might dream up together? And so today we'll go through just a few simple guided practices. We'll start with a little body scan, just trying to touch into our body, get a little bit of presence, arrive in the space, in our own spaces together. Then we'll move through a little sound bath, some singing as always, and a little bit of, yeah, just really focusing on that adornment aspect of this full moon. It's a Leo full moon. I know there's at least one Leo in this room, so this moon's for you. I have no fire in this chart, so this moon is specifically not for me. But for you, let's go. It's Leo full moon. I feel overwhelmed by it, but I'm riding it out. But if you've got like a fiery vibe, this is your time to like soak it in. And if that's not your vibe, this is your time to like just let it all be. I was talking today with a friend about just like acknowledging that things are hard and not needing to change it, like not becoming inactive, but not needing it to be fixed or tricking yourself into think your life could be fixed if you just did X, Y, Z. The world could be fixed if we just did X, Y, Z. And how to hold that and not become nihilistic, how to hold all these paradoxes is kind of what I come to full moon nights with. It's a big, bright light in the sky. It's a guiding star, or not star, it's a guiding light, and a reflection of our star, the sun, right? I always like to remind folks on the full moon that it's not even real moonlight. It's the sun bouncing off, the sunlight bouncing off the moon and reflecting towards us. And so that's its own beauty. Like, even in the night, the sun is still reaching out towards us. We're never really alone or without. It's just what we can recognize. So that's my little preamble for today. Again, everything's opt in, opt out. Continue to check in with yourself to make sure you've got what you need. You might get a blanket, some water, tea, a journal, whatever feels nice to have around you. Something to do with your hands if you don't like to sit still or something like that. Yeah, that's all for the top for me. So we'll just dive right in. Welcome. My name's Eli Rin. I'm coming to you from Chicago, Potawatomi, Ottawa, and Ojibwe lands today. And I am looking forward to moving through these practices with you. If you just want to take a deep breath in and out, you might take a second to just physically clear your space, mentally take a second to let go of whatever can be let go of. Take a moment to just fully arrive in your body exactly right now. Feel the weight of your clothes against you, temperature of the air around you. Notice the seat, wherever you sit, stand, or lay, the surface beneath you rising up to hold you. Even gravity, a little gentle blanket holding you down. We might start to notice where we feel our breath today, resisting the urge to force any shifts, expect any sort of breath, but just accepting that invitation of noticing. How am I? We breathe in and out. Perhaps we notice the air trickling in the back of the nose or throat. You might feel the lungs gently expanding and contracting with each breath, filling the rib cage in each direction, and then releasing. You might find your breath all the way down in your belly today, letting the skin of your stomach relax completely. Just take a second to fill and empty. However, we notice our breath, just taking that as information. What can it teach me about how I am right now? How can something as simple as becoming familiar with my breath be like a true moment of intimacy with myself, of daring to acknowledge the fullness of my experience, however I can, to whatever capacity feels safe, possible. We'll move into a little light body scan. Today, we'll keep it real free form. So, as we move through, if stillness feels right for you, you can just bring your awareness into the body parts, kind of relaxing them as you sit or lay. If motion feels good, you might bring a hand to each body part, massaging as we go, or even stretching the body parts. I'll leave that up to you. I'll kind of do an oscillation to remind you, if you happen to be looking at me, that there's options, but do whatever feels right to you. We'll begin just by breathing in and out, and bringing your awareness into the crown of the head, the scalp. You might take your fingertips and give yourself a little massage. Even if there's hair, you might use your fingertips to get to the root, or just a little holding. You could even rub your hands together for a moment and then place them on the head for some warmth. Just taking a deep breath in here, we'll start to relax the face. You might give your temples a gentle massage. Perhaps take a moment to stretch the jaw. As you continue to breathe in and out, imagine as you breathe in, the breath fills up each space of our body that we focus on. And as we breathe out, with that breath, whatever can be released gets released. So we move our awareness down into the neck and shoulders. Again, sinking into your spot if you're laying down into stillness, or perhaps taking a few rolls backwards of the shoulders, going ear to shoulder slowly. Really just checking in. Moving down the arms. You might bring a little holding, a little massage. Checking in with the forearms, the wrists, even the hands. I was listening to Grandma's Hands by Bill Withers this morning and just thinking about, like, I don't know, the legacy of Black hands and how much work and love has been passed down from like palm to cheek through generations, through everything, through dissonance, get the other arm if you haven't switched, through conflict, through generational gap, through whatever. That through line of love is something we can practice connecting to, even just with ourselves at first. Bringing your awareness into the torso, the upper chest and back. You might open the chest a little if possible, letting the lion of the moon fill you up, taking up the space that you take up because it is yours to take. Bring the awareness into the belly and low back. You know, again, really daring ourselves to check in, even if pain is what we find. Moving perhaps away from judging that pain as good or bad, but just, again, taking that as information. Where do I direct my care? How am I actually? Outside of the stories I might tell myself. What's right here in this moment? Bringing the awareness down into the glutes and hips. Again, offering stillness, massage, or motion. Really feeling into your seat, feeling into this like anchor point of your body. And bringing the awareness down into the legs, trying to release any clenching in the inner thighs or calves. Perhaps even massaging the backs of the calves or soles of the feet, doing a few ankle rolls. Letting the lower half just feel warm, heavy, at rest, even if not completely at ease. We'll bring our awareness into the whole body as one. Perhaps even making a little intention or vow to not look away, even if parts of you feel far away, to still look towards them. We'll move into our short visualization before our sound bath. Please feel free to check in with your body, move, adjust if you need to. Often we do visualization so often. Most sits at least a little bit. Um, and I really like the aspect of dreaming that demands responsibility. Like thinking of, on Sundays we do Ma Harriet meditation, and thinking of like someone like Harriet Tubman, someone whose dreams had real, as all of ours do, had real life or death stakes. Dreaming becomes not just an act of luxury or privilege, but like a great duty of the oppressed and almost a responsibility uh, for me of holding lineage, whether that be my bloodline, my abolitionist lineage, my macro lineage as just like an earth expression or whatever in the universe. It feels like my responsibility these days to cultivate and practice dreaming, to not get locked in to the way I think things are and will be, and to demand myself to really face the truth that everything does and will change. That's something I hold on to as a truth, at least. The impermanence of all things. And with that comes the inevitability, the certainty of change, of something else, of another way, of multiple other ways. And it can get easy in any sense, like in the nihilistic depression or in the like optimistic naivete, like in any direction and in any flux, we all hold it all, right? It can be really difficult not to get lost in certainty and trying to just beat the same drum over and over and over again. Drums are great, but sometimes we need bells, or sometimes we need other things too, right? Sometimes we need a company. I won't I won't take this metaphor farther. It's not doing that much anymore. But still, I think there's something really to thinking about. How do I dream? How do I practice dreaming as a literal like responsibility for the people that I love and for myself to know that we can create, have created, and will create other worlds. That even during slavery, there were generations of free Black people born in the Dismal Swamp after they escaped and then started having their own free society. Like these things happen simultaneously. There's not one lineage, colonialism, capitalism, it's a blip in time. It can feel like forever, and it can feel like it's always been this way, but it hasn't, and it won't be. And we might be running out of time in some senses, in some materials, surface senses, but even if the worst of global warming happened, the Earth would still be fine, right? Humans would just be the ones, us, we would be maybe not here, but the Earth would do its thing. Ice ages have happened, all that. Life would go and renew itself. So, all that to say, let's dream together a little bit for just a few minutes, and then we'll move into a 5 to 10 minute sound bath. That time, I invite you to just listen, let it wash over you, journal, do whatever feels good, and then we'll close with our spiritual singing and community prayers. So take a moment to come back to the seat. Get your wiggles out if you feel like wiggling, settle in if you feel like settling in. You might take a few deep breaths in and out and let the gaze relax or even the eyes close completely. And as we gently breathe in and out, sinking into our spot, we might imagine ourselves sitting on the edge of a big riverbank in the moonlight. Perhaps a forest, there's a bunch of trees all around us. We can see the big moon in the sky, hear the water rushing before us, the wind rolling over our skin. The light of the moon gently reaches out, bathing us, pouring over the skin, almost like warm bath water. As we sit here, breathing in and out, we start to notice beneath our feet, beneath our seat, we start to grow roots like a big tree into the ground. You might imagine your legs stretching out into the mud of the riverbank or deep beneath the rocks, however you imagine it. And from each toe, roots expanding, your thighs getting thick, becoming a structured trunk. We start to root into the soil, into the earth. The water from the river seeps into the soil, nourishing us. And as we breathe in and out, we expand deep down. The top of us starts to grow up tall like a tree as well. We feel our stomach, our chest, our whole trunk expanding, our bark growing, our arms stretching out into the sky. The top of our head, our hair, our scalp, raising the cloud. As we take a few breaths in and out, sinking in, rooting into the ground, branching out into the sky. From this vantage point, we can see some storm clouds in the distance. We are rooted by this riverbank, and the storm clouds start to roll in. Perhaps at first, we might have the instinct to worry, to withdraw some of our leaves, to protect some of our branches. But as the storm gets closer, it almost sounds like a symphony. The rain against the ground, against our leaves, our skin, the bark, the wind howling, swaying the trees around us. And perhaps instead of fear, we embrace this storm, dancing with it, letting our branches crack, fall, break where they may, knowing that we are still this tree, still rooted, still here, exactly where we're supposed to be. Wishing we were in another part of the forest wouldn't protect us from the storm. Trying to change the storm won't help us weather it. And so instead, we dance. We move with it. We draw nourishment from our network of care, the mycelium, the earth, the mushrooms, the animals in the forest. We conserve what we need. We send out what we can. And we find a way to live anyways. So as you in your big tree body, or if you're not a visualization person, you in your, you know, also little tree body, nourished, breathing in the oxygens of the leaves. We simply rest into the spot we are at, accepting all that arises for what it is, this passing moment, rejoicing in what we can. I think it's an Ella Baker quote that Lama Rod and Angela Davis were having a talk a few months ago, and we're talking about this quote that's if there's no dancing, it's not my revolution, or it's not my revolution if there's no dancing, one way or the other. And that really encapsulates Black revolutionary spirit to me. Like, it does not matter how deep the grief is, there is also joy. That grief is pointing towards love. And you don't have to look away from how hard it is in order to also taste the sweet things in life. And so, as we stay in this visualization, as we move into just a few moments of letting the bells wash over us, we might imagine this is the wind singing with us. This is the ancestors arriving. One way of, like, if you've never had an ancestor practice or worked with that kind of energy or idea, one helpful way to think of it from kind of Lama Rod's perspective or methodologies is to really think of like who is benevolently available to care for me. Doesn't matter if they exist in right now, if they're still alive, if they're human or non-human, but like who can I call into my imaginary, dreaming, physical heart space that is ready to fully show up for me right now? How can I not get trapped in maybe the grief of not having that as close as I want in my life? And how can I really practice feeling it? You could call to mind a memory of being cared for and really try to soak in what did that feel like? How do I find that? How do I offer that to myself as well? So we'll go through some bells and we'll finish out. Take a nice deep breath in and let it all go. Take a deep breath in and let it all go. Take a moment to check in with the body. Do you need to shift, to settle, to drink some water? And we'll move into our spiritual offering. I've really enjoyed singing spirituals together the past couple years now, as an ancestral practice, as a celebration of work songs and an acknowledgement of that kind of dreaming, and as like a celebration of deep communication, of the potentiality of how boundless connection can be, how much folks can overcome and defy all odds in order to free each other, set each other free. So today we'll be singing the refrain of "We Shall Not Be Moved." If you'd like to, in your head, you can be your big tree self again in the storm, dancing with the wind, or you can just listen along. We'll have the drum with us. Excuse me. I'll open up with some drumming, and then we'll move through a few times. The invitation, as always, is whatever you do, do it all the way. So if you listen, listen all the way. If you sing, sing all the way. If you switch back and forth, whichever point that you're doing it, do it all the way. Let yourself commit. Like, feel that sort of Leo audacity to be like, this, I know that this is the thing, and I'm gonna do it. I know that this is like the light, and I'm going to let it shine. We almost did This Little Light of Mine today, but we've done that a lot recently, so I gave it a break. So we'll sing "We Shall Not Be Moved." The lyrics are just, "We shall not be moved" twice, like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. I will repeat it. It's an invitation into, again, the fullness of your experience. Joy, grief, whatever arises, let it flow. And for me specifically, I know I really, especially with the spiritual, like to practice like singing not as a chance to try to sing well, but as a chance to hear my voice as not just this body, as an expression of the wind, as the voices that have come before me, as like, I don't know, my vocal cords, which are made up of DNA of thousands of people in this little Zoom room even, you know? Like all of that. Find my connective voice so that I can lead myself back to alignment with what I think love is. So, those are our invitations. I'm gonna take a sip of water, drum, and we'll sing. Take a moment, if you can, to allow your imagination, your heart, to bring your beloveds into the space with you. Imagine the heat of their bodies next to you. Imagine the soil that birthed you beneath your feet. The oceans of water moving like tide in your body, responding to the full moon. We sink into the immovable in us. shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. Hum it through your roots. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Like a tree planted by the water, we shall not be moved. We're gonna get free. We're already free. Like a tree planted by the water, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Taking a deep breath in and out. Coming back into our bodies, into this space. We're going to close out with our communal prayers. These are the prayers that I wrote and we use for, well, kind of all of my weekly regular offerings, but they were birthed in the Mahariat Sit. We dedicate the merit of this session, any connection felt, any insights gained, any presence, any returning, any arising felt. We dedicate that to the liberation of all beings, and we send out these prayers just like our breath, just like our roots in the earth, just like our dreams, in the hope that this dream inspires action. This prayer realigns me with how I want to be. And I really think about these days, especially, whatever prayer means to you, a God, a Buddha, there's 1,000 ways to pray or any other word that feels right for you in that. But whatever that connection is for you, I've been really thinking of that question, returning, asking myself often, do I believe in my prayers? Like, do I believe they can come true? And if I don't, often it means I've kind of fallen out of alignment with my ideals, with what I know to be possible, with shattering the impossibility of circumstance, with the truth of change. And so with these prayers, you can recite them with me or after me, whatever feels better, or you can just kind of let them wash over you. You might take up a gesture that feels like praying to you, whether that's, Anjali Mudra or Gasho, palms together at the chest, hands out, or just connecting with your own body, any sort of intentional way of being in your body and offering out into the world as we receive. We'll move through these and then I'll end the recording and we'll have space to check. Take a nice deep breath in and out. May all beings be free. May those suffering experience liberation. May we hold each other through revolution. May we abolish everything that is not love. May we rebirth a free world. Ashe, Svaha, so be it. I thank you for your time, for your energy today. You all have my email since you got this Zoom link. If you feel comfortable sharing your address with me or any mailing address, I made 8 little protection sachets for all of our little participants today. So I can mail those out to y'all if you email me if I don't already know your address. And yeah, this was a beautiful full moon sit. They look like this. I've been crocheting. So they look like this. This button's fake. It's not on yet, but it's a little protection sachet. I put a little spell in there and some cowrie shells from Kenya that we blessed in our last full moon ceremony. So those shells look like this over here on our altar. But yeah, that's all from me today. Thank you so much. If you'd like to, my last bit of information, put this in the chat. By all means, your presence is enough, but if you'd like to, you can always donate or join us for free or paid over on the Patreon, where I post all the updates, all the videos, and all that. And yeah, that's it for the recording. I'm going to stop it now.